Okay. Alright, well, hello everyone. It's Campo-sama again, sitting down with a little bit of Fresca to go over my progress through Shulva, the Sunken City. And let me tell you, I actually find a few things about this part annoying, but to be honest, the way it ends at the very tail end of this entire playthrough, it feels okay. You see some things recycled from Dark Souls 1 in this DLC, and you see some allusions to the Chalice dungeons in Bloodborne, design-wise, quite a bit. Then, there's some annoying gimmicks, but there's some cool-looking gimmicks throughout this entire area. I would consider this probably one of my preferred areas in Dark Souls DLC sections for Dark Souls 2, but, yeah, I wouldn't consider it like an all-time great. I'm pretty sure for me, personally, of all the DLC levels that have lore and such imbued into it, that I have a special spot in my heart for the old Hunters DLC in Bloodborne, and then the Artorias DLC. Yeah, that's right. Hot take, I know. Artorias DLC good, but not as good as Bloodborne DLC? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower and the Orphan of Kos? Yeah, a bit more involved than Manus and Wolfie Boy, okay? It's just a personal opinion. Let us not sweat on it much. Fresca. Anywho, I'm on the For Extra Life wiki as well now, considering my guide is no longer able to say anything about the content of this area in particular as we go through. It is kind of nice that Cinna, the slumbering dragon, you'll see him pop by every now and again just to blow down some enemies on a bridge. Ideally trying to kill you as well, but doing very, very bad at doing so. Now, while we've got a moment to enjoy sexy, slow opening doors for quite some time, making all that dust kick up, I'm just gonna go through and read some of the descriptions of the enemies we're coming across here. For example, those annoying poison-looking boys that are hollow guys with maces. Those are the Sanctum Soldiers. Soldiers that constituted the main military force which served under the rule of the Sunken King in a long-forgotten kingdom from eons past. Their once high-quality equipment has been twisted and warped by toxic miasma, ejected from Cinna, the slumbering dragon. Whilst their flesh and bones have rotted and degraded over the course of countless years of hollowing. These once proud defenders of a magnificent kingdom have now been reduced to almost mindless centuries of a crumbling ruin. And I'm really tripping on this one. But even still, their loyalty to defend has not wavered, and they will not tolerate perceived threats to their land. And occasionally, they stop bathing even more than usual and have this poison aura as well. And that's just not fun. Take a bath, guys. Just take a bath. For some reason, their poise is abnormally high, because again, I'm wearing a stone ring at all times. Will they be moved? No, they will not. In fact, they will nearly claim my life several times. Also, they can Estus. Let it be known that we both took a moment here to take a quick tea break. A tea break. So, parry if you can. Parry more if you can't. It's a good idea. Apparently they're also quite weak to dark damage and fire damage, which works for me for the most part, considering my build being a weird dark magic hexer man. I primarily use Black Knight weapons. I start with the Ultra Greatsword, but I also eventually get a +5 variant of the regular Greatsword, which, by the way, fashion-wise, fantastic looking weapon. But you'll see me using the Black Knight Ultra Greatsword a bit more, just because the damage is only about 100 points higher, so I do about 631, and the other one does 531. So those numbers I like enough to keep on me. I think. They're at least in the 500s at the very least. Okay. And then there's these little fucks. Very annoying little devils. Corrosive egg crawlers. Oh yeah, and there's fucking ghosts. Yeah, I actually, yes, I need to look up how to deal with these things because I don't actually do that in this playthrough. I kind of just ran from them. So, let's go ahead and look up the Dragon Sanctum. As you can see, I'm shooting sorcery at them. It just phases right through and does largely no damage. I remember just pulling up all my equipment things around and just going, okay, maybe magic's the way to go. Maybe it's D&D logic, right? Right? No. No. Not quite. The imperfects. Oh, so it seems that I can't kill them. I eventually did kill one of them earlier, but it did not work out very well for me. Oh man, for extra life really has been updated on these things. Okay, let's just see if we can pull it up. These are supposed to be Sanctum Knights, whereas the others were soldiers, the green bad BO boys. So let's go ahead and just look up Sanctum Knights, because apparently the page for Ghost Sanctum Knights does not exist. Oh, what an interesting gimmick. So, they appear invisible and spectre-like in nature until you destroy statues that resemble their armor, and then you can kill them as easily as anyone else. I think they're a beta setup for the Karthus warriors in the Catacombs of Karthus in Dark Souls 3. Very similar moveset, just with more curved swords. Also, this fight of Jester Thomas, ugh, what a slog. I take a lot of resources to dive into this fight, and it's just really annoying. Again, he doesn't backstab, he doesn't melee, he's just a caster who takes a lot of damage. Because again, my numbers are pretty good, and he's wearing full Jester, which means that his backstab damage is severely reduced, meaning you'll never really benefit from a good backstab on him. So you just have to combo him into a stun lock and hope that he doesn't kill you with the plethora of flame attacks he'll get you. So I'll let this fight play out in real time, but I've got to tell you folks, I was really tempted just to fast forward through this footage, because this fight takes almost as long as the other two Pyromancers in the Shrine of Almana. But that was two of them. Two of those guys are equal to one Jester Thomas, because he is a bastard. And look, he casts warmth like an asshole. Yikes. Elemental weapons really do a little bit more damage on the ghost versions of the Sanctum Knights, apparently. So that's an option. Ooh. And from this concept art I'm looking at, apparently these knights were intended to be horsemen. So they had to remove these horses from the game because, well, Japanese video games and horses tend to have a real bit of a harsh relationship with one another, unless you're in Dynasty Warriors, and even then, they're usually really bad. I remember I played their version of Dynasty Warriors with Berserk, and I really enjoyed that game, but the horses were pretty bad. Not easy to control. And then there's these huge fucking things, the Imperfects. Jesus Christ. Yeah, let's find out where those guys are in the wiki. So, we're gonna fast forward this footage, as you can see here. Because these guys are annoying, and I'm pretty sure just poison spamming them is the safest way to deal with them. Though, keep in mind they can cough up like a projectile AoE of dark damage or dark electrical damage. I am not certain what they're spitting up at you. Just know that it's not good, but at least they can be poisoned. So again, Gavlon wheel, Gavlon deal. Go talk to your friend Gavlon. Buy 1,000 arrows, you'll be fine. Okay, let's pull up the imperfects now. Now, there is no item description for these things. Not like the regular enemies. They all get their own sort of description. The imperfects do not. They are not well explained. It just says that they are malformed creatures residing in the sunken city. These twisted creatures are likely an offshoot of dragonkind, though they bear only passing resemblance to those majestic creatures at first look. You know what I think they are? They're just a reused asset of those chicken-ass demons that were in Dark Souls 1 with a giant maw now instead of nothing there at all. You'll find that their legs and tail match that exactly, so it's not anything. These things have no impact on the lore. They're here to pad out and make an area incredibly difficult, and their use is entirely based on, hey, by the way, this area is intended to slow you down. The DLC likes to pad out their runtime by putting really bad placements in, just so you take a lot more care and time. I'm currently bumping up something in Broom Tower that's essentially the same thing, but way worse. It's literally the Capra Demon problem, except with 4 enemies that can 2-hit you, and 1 guy that doesn't need a 2-hit, but he can if he wants to. Also, there's explosions. So, it's just a perfect storm of getting fucked. It really is. Okay, apparently they're weak to strike damage, thrust damage, dark, and lightning, but they resist slashing damage and fire damage. So again, my Black Knight build, apparently immediately worthless. But you can also poison them. Approximately they have 4,500 health, which is pretty beefy. That's 4 of my main character of Fortinbras' health bars. And I appreciate that when it says respawn, it just says in all caps, yes! Yes it does. So these guys, real bad time. Let's read some notes about this enemy. I'm sure they're very popular. I went to farm Dragon Bones and ended up with 9 slabs in 30 minutes. I'm not complaining, but damn. If you have high faith, use Dragon Chime with Lightning Infusion and cast Heavenly Thunder. The miracle works wonders on these buggers. I'm currently farming them for boners at 99 faith, and I do around 200 per cast if properly hit. Okay, but that's like a very specific build, though. I mean, I switched to a lightning weapon to try and hit these guys too, and I was still kind of making okay headway, to be honest. The Sanctum Maze works really well on them. Huh, almost like the DLC provided an answer to its own specific problem. Yeah, that sounds about right. They look like how I drew frogs as a 4-year-old. Yes. I love how I searched for dinosaur and this was the first result. I thought they were T-Rexes when I encountered them. The dragon butts from Dark Souls 1 evolved into mouths. Yep, that's what I think they are. That's exactly what they are. They're pretty easy. For people who are farming, just use any dark weapon at +7 or +10. Infusions are okay if you have the stats, though. Look at that beautiful smile. More like the imperfect hitboxes. Damn, Daniel. Damn. And as you can see, we are now going up an elevator after dealing with all that bullshit. Luckily, this is just a shortcut elevator, and I preemptively buffed my weapon for no real reason. There's like 4 bonfires in this area, and I only ever found 2. And I beat the entire area, more or less. Went through it. I didn't go to the catacomby stuff that I was looking at yet. I'm still kind of working my way around to figuring out what the hell that shit is. But you can beat the 2 main bosses of this area without having to deal with too much there. So let's see. Oh, I never even fought those guys. Grave robbers Varg and Seta. Seta! Okay, so I'll have to jump into that because nope. Still have not touched those. That is a gank squad turned into a boss. Well done. Well done, Dark Souls. So there's also this area, which is fun vertical platforming. It wasn't too bad for me diving in. Excuse me. I guess I'll have to dive into this DLC to find out exactly where all that is. Now here are the Drakeblood Knights, who are part of the cult dedicated to worshipping fucking Cinna the Dragon in this area. They're part of the Archdrake sect that you get as the cleric class. Those Archdrake Knights that you can find in the Shrine of Almana. Yeah, they all kind of just fuck together and they worship the same dragon. That's kind of how they do. Okay. Interesting. Now, this was immediately saddening. It's a waste of time. Don't do what I did. Now, what's the real trick of it, I think, is that... I forget how the placement works, but... yeah, the crystal lizards are in the opposite one. So this one is sad. The other one is... ooh, gotta get a piece of candy. And that's how this little puzzle goes. Though, as you can see, it creates a slight trick because you have to walk with it in motion rather than just letting it play out completely. Or you could do this and get those crystal lizards. Sadly, I can only get one on this run, but hey, if you do it one at a time, you'll get all of them eventually. yep, just deal with that wee puzzle and you'll be fine. Yep, riveting, rotating gameplay as you can see here. I do like the graphics as you see your character's sort of light aura hitting the stones there. I always appreciated that texture that stony walls have in Souls games. There's something really grainy and gritty about it. It's just... I eat it up. Alright, and I have our next boss pulled up. Ooh boy. Is she a sign of inflated difficulty that you will get in the Souls DLC? Especially for this game. I think the only one who doesn't have the straight up bullshit BS and requires you to think about the area a bit more is just the, God, what's his name? Oh yeah, the Fugue Knight. Fugue Knight? Fugue Knight. Yeah, that guy. Also, fun thing to point out about these guys, yeah, there it is. He's too heavy for his own good. He got that fat roll. Look at Mr. Tubbs. Bad idea, Mr. Tubbs. Now you're Mr. Dead Dubs. Slam. Ooh, getting tired already. God, so many ads on my computer. That's what I get for using file converters to rip music from the YouTubes. Everyone fell. That's all she wrote. Okay. Always deceived by fake walls that are not fake. Story of my life, really. Use my twisted stick to make my sword a stinky. They hate it. I love Soul games that just normalize throwing poop at your enemy. Like, even in Neo, you just throw poop balls, and there's an entire, like, little goofy, sort of, like, side ordeal in Neo 2 about feeding a dude poop. Oh man, I really need to cover that at some point. Oh, but I'm gonna beat Neo 2 first, and then I'm gonna retroactively play it afterward as, like, an OP boss monster. And I'll feel really good and sexy about it, even though I'm just waffle stomping things 3 times less my level. But hey, that'll make me feel good, and it'll go by quick. I hope. Yeah, aside from that, I was also thinking about doing Injustice 2 story mode. Since I think out of all of the NetherRealm era, like, Midway titles that have come out in the 6th and 7th generation of console, I really like the story mode of Injustice 2 more than I like the other ones. MK9 and Injustice 2 are probably the high points of the NetherRealm era of games. And then Injustice 1 is okay. MKX is fine. MK11 is not that good. Because the convolution that was once considered a very bad part, a very poor part of, well, MK, has decidedly reinserted itself. But this isn't an MK game, so we'll keep it to ourselves and talk about the long and confusing convolution that happens to be the Souls games, as we try to have the confidence to take a leap of faith. Oh hey, we made it. Satisfying roll, also. whenever you do that. There's something a little bit nice about it. I enjoy it every time. I think One Night chases me down here too. That would be kind of funny if that were the case. Oh, someone did. Someone had that problem. A cleric appears to have died from that. He probably wasn't wearing a ring for it either. May have taken a big old tumblies. This was just me kind of doing the usual hug the wall you're not used to check for illusory walls type deal. And then I think I decided at this moment to go, alright, balls to the wall summons please. So yeah, it was Ben-Hurt of Hugo. And whoever that is. Right. Forgettable person who probably will die. And here we go. Nope. Yep, remove the bow for less weight. Pretty mural, right? Deserving of the mire, she says. Let it be known that her name is Elena, the squalid queen. Okay, so she's similar to another boss in Dark Souls 2 that's infinitely more intimidating than she is. In almost every way, except she's so weak that she needs a little bit more to do. She has a lot of hexes. And she is a mob summoner. And funnily enough, the first thing she summons to the RNG is Velstadt the Royal Aegis. She just summons him. Just off the rip, hey, here's a boss you dealt with earlier, who's a much more impressive feat than me. You're gonna fight him. So, I end up dealing with Velstadt while my summons deal with not Velstadt. And fight Elena, the boss clone of the final boss of the game, if you don't manage to get Aldir rolling. So that immediately inflates the length of this boss fight because Velstadt's an annoying piece of shit. He's a hard thing to deal with right away. And he takes a lot of steps in his swings. And then he immediately stops caring about me, funnily enough, and immediately goes to pummel my pals, who are working on Elena, and apparently dwindling her health too much, that even though I'm literally in the thick of fighting him, that he wants to lure me back to get that chain combo from his wife. Yeah, meanwhile Ben-Hurt's just like, yeah, I can take it, this is fine. So there goes Velstadt, no extra souls bonus for beating a boss again. She also has a version of Affinity that's actually worse than the player characters. Oh, but she can control how many go at a time. And then she summons Velstadt again, past 50% health for me, which is a little bit much. Sadly, Steelheart Ellie did not make it. She was, in fact, the weakest link. Meanwhile, Ben-Hurt, taking it from both sides, really doing his darndest. And as you can see, even with 3 summons, I did a lot of damage to Elena. And that's because she sucks. She needs these mobs to do her dirty work. That's all she's got. Yikes. Now again, Velstadt has been defeated, not once, twice. Oh no, hexes. Ah, I can't touch her, she'll insta-kill you with dark damage. Poison and dark damage. And then she summons not another Velstad. She summons skeletons. Poison skeletons that proc poison damage on hit. They are also one-hit kills for me. So, very, very disappointing. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up Cinna. Because this fight is over. It was lame, and it was not great. Lame and not great. And just to signify, hey, by the way, you're at the boss run of the DLC. Here's a quick bonfire for you to rest, and another boss room next to you. So yeah, we'll just pop up some more summons here, get things out of the way, because, to be honest, having a little bit of extra interference, it helps. It always does. Not always, but this fight will be considerably less mechanical than fighting the Ancient Dragon, so we'll just have to make do. Oh yeah, that was an actual person I met. This is me very excited to meet him. Praise, praise, praise the sun! Praise the sun! Yeah! Sun bros! Yeah, 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 yeah. We love people that have similar fashion to us, who also just spam hellos. Very good. Most welcome. So, Cinna apparently has high resistance to all elements, but is fairly weakest against dark, and then lightning. Apparently, the other thing that I haven't noticed until towards the end of this fight as well, and this is important for anyone who likes using delicate but powerful weapons, you might want to have some repair powder on you, because it would appear that Cinna's hide itself is corrosive in nature from decades of sitting here in the sunken wastes, and he has so much corrosive damage when weapons hit him. Basically 1.5 points of durability per hit, and even with the durability of a bracing knuckle ring, it barely falls at the usual rate. But because of this extended boss fight here, and in particular, I'm not using that. I'm using no durability increasing rings, but I'm also using the Hide Knight sword, which again, good damage, but the problem here is that it is very much eating to that sword. The sword now has more than regular durability to it. The other thing is, it is possible to cut off his tail, but I actually don't recommend that being a thing. If you cut off his tail, he'll start doing his flying, sweeping attacks much more often, and that will make him a very annoying, pitiful dread to be fighting. While it doesn't block the toxin, apparently the Gurm Great Shield is godlike and completely negates his fire breath. So you'll take no damage from the fire, but you will get the toxic buildup. So that's interesting. So yeah, if you have Havel's Great Shield or the Gurm Great Shield, you're just gonna have a good time. And of course, in the usual big red fonts, we have the fighting the boss without any summon significantly increases the damage dealt to it, because that is the rule with all bosses, but thank you for putting it up with this one in particular. The thing is, I prefer the approach of having more interference on a boss versus being able to fight it solo and do more damage, because at least this way I can guarantee my hits a bit more, making it easier for me to get those hits rather than having to rely on my timing in a game where timing can sometimes be wrong. Because look at this whirly-durly asshole flying around being all angry and shit. His hitboxes don't make any damn sense half the time. Also, there's something to be said about poison coked up dragon that coats himself in poison, breathing flaming poison on himself just so he can try and get you. Like at this point, he's just a cokehead. This is Cokehead the dragon. He's having a bad time. You're having a bad time. No one wants to be here. But at least he's still a better fight than the ancient dragon, so here we are. Dragon fight that's actually a dragon fight. Calamite, eat your heart out. But, Nadir, you can hang out. You're fine. Let's not talk about you. Let's see about some comments about this boss fight as we kind of close things out. Oh. Apparently there aren't any. That's immersive. Literally no one wants to talk about it. Fun. Ooh, I need something for my sinuses. I am all kinds of stuffy. I recently had to start wearing a face shield again and a different mask for work, so I think it may be the switch for that affecting my breathing just a touch. Anyway, that's it up. Lame ass dragons, lame ass done. Make sure to collect some items, such as when he knocked Yog down from wherever he was impaled on a spire from. And then pick this up if you can. I did it! And thus you have the crown of the Sunken King, whomever or whenever that fellow was around. And we do like crowns in Dark Souls games, so let's go ahead and just take a quickie looky-loo. Crown of the Sunken King who once ruled this land. The king erected the eternal sanctum below the earth to worship the great dragon, but the towering bulwark crumbled with the city shortly after the dragon's awakening. But these events were of long ago, and today no one even remembers the king's name. Again, comparing that to Vendrick's crown, you've got a similar comparison that heavy is the brow that wears the crown, but who dat, don't know. So that's our second crown collected. 2 out of 4 isn't that bad yet, but hopefully we can even things out from here. Boop. Now, after that, go ahead and head back into the Iron Keep, past the old Iron King's boss fight. And if you remember correctly, there was a thing I pointed out in here, with the 2 serpents, as before, and adversity befitting a monarch being listed on here, because it is always implied through all the DLC of the Souls games that whenever you go into it, it is immensely harder than the base game. And this case is forever proven true. Forever so, always a must. Bum. Weakness. Despair. And so after that, we are treated once again to a series of random graves, assorted supposedly representing the other people who had to pay for the DLC before getting Scholar and having all their setup broken the fuck down anyhow. God rest their poor, poor souls. All of them. All of the hundreds of millions of souls wasted over a period of, I don't know, 7, 8 years? Maybe longer. And once again, we're treated to a sexy door, but of course, due to the industrious part of the Iron Keep motifs being introduced, we're treated to another elevator. This one's styled a little bit differently, but we're gonna go ahead and ride up it for quite a bit. And this is a progression fog door, not a boss fog door. But we get to some more of the instantaneous, interesting visuals that you will see in the ashes of Broom Tower of the old Iron King DLC. Again, we've already fought the old Iron King. His twisted resemblance of his soul is already done, but instead we're going to deal with his betrothed, his wife in particular. I think her name is Nadia, and she has her own gimmick in this region as well, one that we will be introduced to right here. So this is a resemblance of a fragment of Nadia's soul, and we are given 6 smelter wedges. I believe there are 7 fragments of her soul, so you have to strategically use them. They are a limited, finite resource. It's scattered throughout the level. You want to remove them because what these souls do is they buff, heal, and empower enemies in the area, making them very annoying. But however, using the smelter wedges and being caught in an invincibility frame animation as soon as you hit yes and pull out the wedge itself, you want to kill that piece of Nadia. This way she won't respawn and the area will become easier over time. But you just wait on that. You fucking wait on that. Just see how much pain I'll go through. Yeah.